Ms. Anusha, facilitator. So today our speaker, Ms. Radhika Madam, she worked as a senior assistant professor in Manipal College of Nursing, Manipal. She completed her BSc, MSc in Oncology Nursing, PhD in Oncology and NFPN. Around she has 16 years of experience in teaching and she participated in various conferences. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome for this session.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. Can I share the slide now? I think Hannah ma'am, you're muted.
Ma'am, I don't have that PPT. You have to share, ma'am.
I'm going to share. I'm asking your permission to share.
Sorry, ma'am.
I have the slide. I am asking your permission to share. It has come like you cannot start screen share while other participant is sharing. If you can,
I'll
share,
stop
I
sharing.
can.
Okay, one second.
Yeah.
Is it okay now, ma'am?
Yeah, now it is fine. I can. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Hope I'm audible too.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Once again, I thank the organizer for giving me this opportunity on discussing in short about pain and management of pain, especially when we see this palliative care setting. So we'll just see what and all we will address now in the first slide. After that, each one we will go in little bit of detail. I'm okay if you can interrupt me at any point of time and raise some questions so that we can have a discussion. No issue. So in this particular session, we will be discussing about the meaning or a definition of pain, nature of pain, physiology of pain, and types of pain depending on the various situations, factors affecting the pain, and as well as management of pain. So these are the few areas we will touch. Anyhow, this is since an introduction part. I am not going to discuss each component in detail, but we will try to touch all the points which is related to the pain and its management, especially from nursing perspective. Okay. So this is the definition of pain by American Pain Society. I think all of you are aware of this. It is an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience which is associated with actual or potential tissue damage or described in terms of the such damage. So it is nothing but something which is very unpleasant, which is experienced through our sensation or even emotional experiences where actual problem can be there or there can be a potential tissue damage which is happening inside the body, or these things are going to have a particular damage in the body and that itself causes a sensation which we call it as pain. So this is what I want to highlight all of you. If you're okay, please read this sentence. So what meaning you get with this sentence? You can unmute and tell also. What is the meaning of this particular sentence from your understanding? Anyone can unmute and tell? No? They don't have permission to unmute and talk?
They have.
You have. Okay. So maybe you will take some time. It's okay. Please speak in between so that we can keep it as interactive as possible. What I want to highlight here is anybody and everybody, if they are telling that they are in a state of discomfort or they're experiencing something which is painful, that stays there. That means what they say, that is what you have to take. It is not your interpretation, it is their subjective experience which you can take it as pain. Maybe when we go through the slide, you will understand. We don't even talk about the only the physical pain. Even we talk about the total pain where almost all component has to be addressed. So that itself will tell to what extent you are having a discomfort. Okay. So another one is, always remember when you take care of a patient that it is not that the patient has to show you in a pain scale or whatever the tool you use to tell that they have pain or they are in pain, but it is your responsibility to perceive what is happening to the patient and accept them as it is without making any judgment. So you don't need to be very, very critical when, especially when it comes to pain, because everybody's experiences are unique and they need not be same or similar with the same disease condition, similar surgeries, or no matter how much the staging and grading of the cancer or the kind of a condition they are in are matching, but pain perception is very, very different, or I can say this is very unique depending on the individual case. So never ever judge anybody based on your perception about the previous patient or your own self. Yes. Any clarification? Can I continue? Okay, I think so. So nature of pain. So when you talk about the nature of pain, this is what I can put forth. You can just unmute and tell me your experiences for any of the point also, okay? Or else I can also tell from my experience what I actually felt also. The first thing is very clear, isn't it? We just had a discussion. It is very unique to each individual. And sometimes it is so complicated that you feel that there is no surgery, nothing is happening to the patient. Patient is just diagnosed with one type of cancer or any kind of chronic illnesses, but still they tell pain. That means it is very complex phenomena which can have physical, emotional, and cognitive component, or any one of the component. So usually what we see, like as a medical surgical nurse, I can say, and even oncology nurse also, I can say that our main focus is physical component. They have undergone surgery, they'll have pain. Okay. Or they are having a stage 4 this and this, they're undergoing chemotherapy, or they're undergoing a particular type of immunotherapy and they are in pain. Only that component we see, but we seldom see emotional and cognitive component involved. So this is the second nature of the pain. Please keep in mind, they need not be sick physically, but emotionally if they're unstable, thinking capacity or the cognitive level, the orientation to time, place and environment, perception of others, everything, it differs here. So during that time, if they cannot think and judge, they are definitely in a state of discomfort, and that can be taken into consideration for the pain also. Pain uses a person's overall energy. That means they cannot focus on one thing. They are focused only on the gastric related pain, knee pain, or any kind of injection or procedural related pain. They have every thinking or a thought process going into that part of the body, and that takes lot of energy for them to overcome that or to get adapted to that particular change of the phase. It interferes with the personal relation. I think by this time it should be clear. Not only physical thing is to be considered as pain, emotional, cognitive, social, spiritual things are there, then definitely it interferes with the relation. When I am in a literal pain, I cannot talk to anybody with the same tone or with the same kind of cordial, talk. I cannot have. The same thing goes with the patient. So if they have a issue, personal in relationship or in social circle for job related or anything that really interferes with their relationship, And however you say we have so much advanced technologies, we are having a pain scale of this and so many distress scales and many things we have. But again, I'll come back to the first nature that it is again individual, individual perception. We cannot tell the injection, the response to the vaccine for each one. We have seen how different it was. The same thing will be happening just because you think they are not in pain. Never ever judge like that. Just tell them, that I understand that you are in pain. So let us see ABC technique, or this is the prescription given, this is how we'll progress, like that we will tell. The common dialogue of a nurse which they use in the setting that I have seen so many patients with appendicitis and nobody complained like you. Or I have seen so many patients with undergoing chemotherapy elder than you, but still they don't have complaint. Don't make a fuss out of anything. So never ever do that, because pain is very, very unique to each person. So it cannot be judged in a same way for any patient. Maybe they are with the same disease condition. Even the person with dyspnea, they will be having a lot of pain. There are so many people with the dyspnea. Again, the pain level will be not comparable. So these are the nature you have to think. Why I'm elaborating these things to you is, never think about physical thing as a pain. Consider every aspect of their life, including the interaction with the family members, healthcare team, everything, to elicit any other distress they are having, because all these things will add up to their existing pain and that intensifies their perception of the pain. Okay. So when I was doing this fellowship in palliative nursing also, the question was asked, to all of us based on the pain or, something. And we were told to give a lot of input for how we will manage a patient, what is that morphine schedule and all other things. When they were asked, we really understood that it is not at all a physical thing which is involved when it is called as a pain perception. Rather, it is the emotional component, family relations, social thing, and some people it is only a spiritual thing. So this is it. When I say I have pain, please accept me that I am in pain. So this is how you have to be changing your focus when you are into palliative care. So it is based on the person's entire total phenomena, including their family and everything. So when you consider only, then you can really try to seek for a particular cause so that you can give an exact input in order to alleviate pain. Okay. So coming to the physiology of pain, how it is happening in the body. So mostly this physiology of pain also is related to physical. Okay. We call somatic perception of the pain. So you have somewhere here in the body, tissue or anywhere the break, or you have a invasive technique you have undergone or something. So there will be a pain. Okay, that will be transmitted to the spinal cord, and through the nerve mediators, it will go to the brain, and thereby it will be perceived. So when you call it as physiological process of pain, in the literature or in the theoretical, this one, if you see, it is a nociception. So okay, this is how it is quoted, that is a nociception. The four main processes related are transduction, transmission, modulation, and perception. The first one here is the transduction, and there is a transmission. Okay, here it is a modulation, and then it is a perception of pain. So this is how the total process is involved in order to for us to feel the perception of the pain. Okay, now the next segment is types of pain. So how the types are there? There are so many types based on the location, perception, and many things. Many textbook will give you different components. Maybe at this point of time, I would like to tell you a particular case study which we had discussed earlier. So there was a family of a patient who was in a terminal stage of cancer, and he was with his spouse and two
Sorry
kids.
to interrupt you.
Yes.
Somebody raise their hand. I think
Yeah.
having some doubt.
Yes,
Pinky
you can
Bharti
ask.
ji, do you have
You
any doubts?
you can ask.
You
You
wanted to
can ask.
repeat something? And Santosh ji,
Pinky Bhatti has asked. No, she has told hi to everybody.
I don't
I
know,
can't find in
unfortunately,
my screen.
maybe. Sorry, ma'am. You can
Yeah, yeah, no
continue.
issue, no issue, no issue, no issue. I just minimize it so I am not able to see. You can interrupt and tell me if they have anything. Okay, no issue. So I'll go back to this particular case study where we had a patient with a terminal cancer stage, and he was with his wife and 2 kids, and the palliative care team was going to his house every time. And despite you give a particular dose of a morphine, you have a titration, everything, the schedule, breakthrough dose, everything, the pain was not coming down. So this palliative team went a little ahead of that, and they tried to speak to him about he knows that he's in his last stage of cancer and he's having a particular span of life to live. And they asked him, what is that you want to do? Is there anything which is bothering you? Or what is your goal now? Slowly they went into the sensitive aspect of his life. And he said that even I am going to die, I am not worried about that. But the problem is, I'm really concerned about my son's education now, because I am a daily wage person. I don't have any other resources to manage, and I want my children to be educated. The elder one, especially, a kind of what do you call the 10th standard, which is a milestone which he is in. I may not be able to survive to ask all those things. So then they understood that he is having this thing in the mind that his education is not going to happen, or there is instability in a children's education. So then what happened is, these people, with the help of NGOs, workers and all, they have tried to gather some information about the educational scholarship available, and they somehow made it, and they were able to get these kids enrolled not only for that particular academic year, but till up to their +2, their both kids education were sponsored by a particular person. And they not only did that, but they brought the document and the contract paper or whatever it was given, and they showed him. Okay, he was in very severe pain, unable to walk around, and that is what he was in. And that day, he was able to make a little movement, and he was a kind of a like not never ever complained after that he was in pain. And very next day, he expired. So this really hit me very hard, thinking that always we think about the drugs, but we seldom think about other problems. So if your primary problem is not solved, there is no meaning of treating the body. Okay, so that was what happening to this patient, and he died very peacefully. The moment he saw the paper of scholarship and how much coverage he got for that particular, period of time for kids, and he was at a sense of relief. And that was the day he never asked for a extra medicine. So this is what I want to tell you about the nature of pain. Now coming back, I think somebody had a clarification. You can unmute and ask now.
गुड मॉर्निंग मैम, मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है।
Yes, yes.
मैम जैसे क्या है, जो हम पैलेटिव केयर विजिट के लिए जाते हैं तो टर्मिनल एंड स्टेज के जो पेशेंट है, जैसे कैंसर का पेशेंट है मैडम, वो जैसे अगर उनको कीमो चल रही है तो वो इतना इरिटेट हो चुका होता है कि मैम जैसे जैसे पेन हो रहा है तो बता ही नहीं पाता। वो कहता है कि बस मेरा बात करने का ही मन नहीं है, मैं आपको बताना नहीं चाहता मेरा इतना पेन है। तो उसको मैडम हम कैसे मैनेज करें रेटिंग स्केल के अकॉर्डिंग? जैसे अब क्या पता वो ठीक बता रहा है कि उसको पेन कैसा है, तो मैडम हम फिर क्या मतलब काउंसलिंग जैसे क्या मतलब मोस्टली मैडम यही देखने को मिलता है कि वो इतना फ्रस्ट्रेटेड हो चुका है ट्रीटमेंट्स को लेके, तो कुछ भी बताने को तैयार नहीं होता।
वो मुझे अभी आप जैसे बता रही हैं, उसका रिपीटेड ट्रीटमेंट चल रहा है ना, इसलिए रिपीटेड प्रिकिंग की वजह से वो पेरिफेरल लाइन डालते हैं ना, इसी
हाँ जी
की
मैम।
वजह से उसे पेन शायद ज्यादा होगा। सो अगर आपको जो भी ये फिजिकल इंडिकेटर्स उतना इंटेंस नहीं है, ऐसे कुछ आपको आपके ख्याल में आया, तो आप ये टोटल पेन का कॉन्सेप्ट लेके वो असेस कर सकते हैं। मतलब इमोशनल का, सोशल का, ऑक्यूपेशनल का या स्पिरिचुअल का, कुछ तो है उसे बॉदर कर रहा है, कुछ दिक्कत है उसे, वो कह नहीं पा रहा है, इसलिए वो सबको बता रहे हैं कि मुझे आई एम इन पेन और मुझे बहुत तकलीफ है. सो व्हेन यू गो टू बेड साइड, आई थिंक इट इज सॉरी, वो होम विजिट में इतना मतलब उतना आप कुछ नहीं कर पाएंगे. एक ही कर सकते हैं कि आपको उसे वापस डॉक्टर्स के पास लेके आके वो डोज का वेरिएशन करके देख सकते हैं इफ देयर आर नो अदर इंडिकेटर्स. अगर वो फिजिकल पेन का भी डोज ज्यादा दे के वो शायद कम नहीं हो पा रहा है, तो इमोशनल एस्पेक्ट का एक्सप्लोर करना बहुत जरूरी है. और एक बात है, कैंसर पेन एक क्रोनिक पेन है, ठीक है. सो क्रोनिक
जी मैम।
पेन मतलब एक डायनामिक टाइप पेन है, कि ऐसे कि आप हर वक्त वो बैठे रहो या खड़े रहो या कुछ भी करो, वो पेन आपसे बर्दाश्त नहीं होगा. वो टॉलरेट करने का कैपेसिटी कम कम होता जाता है. ओके, जैसे कि
हाँ
स्टेज
जी
ऑफ
मैम।
कैंसर बढ़ता
हाँ
है.
जी।
सो एक बार उसे इतना मतलब हर बार यही कंप्लेंट है, तो एक आपका पेन मेडिकेशन उसके लिए वर्क नहीं कर रहा है, उसका डोसेज को बदलना जरूरी है. उसके लिए आपको शायद उन्हें अस्पताल लाना पड़ेगा ना. नेक्स्ट थिंग है कि आपको ये डिटरमाइन करना है कि उसके लिए क्या दिक्कत है, व्हाट इज दैट ही इज वांटिंग टू डू. आप क्या करना चाहते हैं आपके बच्चे के बारे में, या ऐसा कुछ सवाल करके देखो कि कुछ ना कुछ तो बाहर आएगा. अगर वो
हाँ जी मैम।
कंपोनेंट आप सॉर्ट आउट करेंगे ना, तो ये सॉल्व शायद होगा. मेडिकेशन के मामले में वी हैव टू गो विद द डॉक्टर्स फॉर
हाँ जी
वेरिएशन
मैम।
ऑफ द डोज एंड सी. अगर वो वर्क नहीं कर रहा है तो कॉज ऑफ द पेन इज नॉट फिजिकल पेन, कुछ और उसे दिक्कत है. सो आपको ये आप ही मतलब बात करके देख सकते हैं. इट्स नॉट रिक्वायर्ड दैट यू नीड टू हैव ए काउंसलर. यू कैन रियली स्पीक वेल इफ यू हैव ए गो होल्ड विद द लैंग्वेज.
हाँ जी मैम। ओके मैम, थैंक यू।
Yeah. So I think I'll continue with that, with the particular case study. I hope I am you are able to understand me. If you want me to change, speak the language of which you want also, you can tell, because I think it's a mixed group, this should be fine. Okay, I'm okay with any kind of questions. I'm open to question. Please ask again and again so that we will learn together. Okay, so types of pain, just like I told, types of pain is also very very different. Okay, based on the location you call different type. Duration, the small duration, 1 month, 2 month pain and other thing also is okay. Intensity matlab, it may not be, it can be interrupted, but the moment it comes, it is very severe or it is mild. Etiology, based on the cause, is it because of a tumor, is it because of a procedure, is it because of any other comorbidities what you have, because they will not have only one type of things, isn't it? So these are the things. So first one, which you have to see based on the location, one is radiating and referred. Radiating means it will go from one area to other. They say that I will get a this one here and till here it goes. Okay, just like I think when you see their terms, it is very interesting. Their own way they say. I feel every time the ant is walking, towards this side to this side, or I am feeling a small prick type. Okay, like that. So this is radiating means it will spread from one area to other. Referred pain is mainly cardiac pain, we say. But nowadays, cardiac pain is not the same thing what we read in the book. So we have to learn from patient a lot. Before we used to tell left shoulder from here till your thumb and index finger. If it goes pain, that is a initial sign of cardiac issues. But it is so different now. Sometimes there will be a patient with lot of issues without even having one symptom of pain or the chest or something in a cardiac illness. So these are the two terms you should know. Radiating, which moves from one to other area. Referred pain is like you have a problem cardiac, but somewhere else you are referring. Your pain is in the shoulder or somewhere in the hand or finger, but that referred pain is, can be interpreted as cardiac origin. So these are the things. This is the commonest one which use acute and chronic. So what is acute pain? any pain which is very sudden in nature, maybe a surgical pain, or you fall, you have a tissue injury or anything. So that is a short duration. Short duration means it should ideally, every book will say different. Some say 3.5 months. Now here in another book, it also says 6 months. So any one you can refer. So up to 6 months, after that it resolves, you can no longer call it as a chronic pain. But beyond that, if it goes, then you can definitely call it as chronic pain. Another type of pain I feel you should know, which is quoted invariably similar to acute or chronic pain. One is adaptive pain, another one is maladaptive pain. Adaptive pain is acute pain. Maladaptive pain is chronic or cancer, induced pain. They are called as maladaptive. It's very difficult to be adapted to that. So these are the certain things which you can see. In acute pain, it is adaptive, protective, short lasting, and chronic is very, very, problematic one. That is maladaptive, and it will stay for 3 or 6 months. It is static sometimes. Static pain of moderate in nature also is very painful because it will never go. At 4 level also it will be there. Waxing and waning means you have some kind of severity increase at some point of time, then decrease. So that is waxing and waning. And cancer related pain also you are supposed to know. Though the intensity of pain is very severe in a cardiac arrest or accident or something, but it is very much maladaptive and detrimental when it comes to cancer, because same pain level or little increased pain level is there throughout the day. Sleeping time, daytime, or any point of time, it remains there. So this is the severity, or this is the kind of problem in a cancer. It is not the severity of the pain. It is the existence and static nature of the pain, which will be there throughout. Okay. And next is intensity of pain. I think according to that, you can classify, which we will see later also, how we will assess the pain. You have a mild pain, moderate, and severe pain. Okay. Where you say no pain as 0 and 10 as the worst possible pain. So 3 levels of pain: mild, moderate, and severe. So these are the ways it is categorized: location, duration, intensity, and as per the etiology also. Okay, now coming to the etiological classification of pain, you have a physiological pain and neuropathic pain. So what is physiological? I think now it is very well said and understood. You have a physical injury, you have physical, surgery and all other things. So properly functioning nervous system sends signals, so telling that your tissue is damaged. So that is the physiological pain. Somatic pain originates in the skin, muscles, bone, connective tissues, and everywhere. So this is pain, for example, strain or anything. Okay. So these are the things, okay, where visibly you see body related is the somatic pain. Next is visceral pain. It is because of the pain in a deeply situated organs. For example, if you are having ankle sprain or something, the previous one you have seen, somatic, you can tell it is in my right ankle or somewhere like that. Visceral pain is something like very vague. So you say that you have abdominal pain, it is somewhere very vague, very difficult to locate sometimes. Whole over abdomen, you feel a kind of a discomfort, which you can tell sometimes is cramping pain or something like that. Neuropathic pain is something which is due to damage or a malfunction in nerves. Neurotic disorders, multiple, sclerosis or myeloma or any kind of things where the nerve roots are involved, invariably you will have a pain because your nerve endings are getting damaged. So you are not having a cut or anything, but still you are in pain, which is known as neuropathic pain. So these are the types of the pain. We have seen acute and chronic, location wise, radiating and referral, and duration wise also we have seen, as well as the grading intensity, mild, moderate, severe, and the etiology, where it is neural originated, body originating, okay, that is somatic pain, or like that. So like this, they will name the pain. And to tell you very frankly, pain itself is like such a big unit to discuss. And mostly the palliative medicine doctors and all, you can see how much they read about pain. It will be such a big book to be studied to know or diagnose them whether it's a somatic pain or a neuropathic pain, because each pain management is different. Okay, so like that. So we should know when we go and administer the drugs, at least seeing the drug, we should know, okay, this patient is having this kind of pain, like that. Now, what are the concepts associated with the pain? Okay, so first concept is intractable pain. Okay, so what is the meaning of intractable pain? Means you see a patient. Now, I am not judging, but most of the time the medical oncologist or a surgical oncologist or a radiation oncologist, all these people, when they feel no longer see any kind of cure from the illness, only then they refer to the pain, pain physician or a palliative care. So when you see an intractable pain, it is nothing but where every possible alternative medical treatment is been implemented, but there is no cure possible. The focus of treatment, then from curative, it will go to palliation. Okay, so that will happen when there is an intractable pain. So there is no cure possible. So it will be shifting to palliation. So in palliation, what you focus is to have a pain reduction, functional improvement, and the enhancement of quality of life. So you will have a functional improvement, and that means you have to live with pain. Okay, there is no cure for a particular treatment, but what will you do for this kind of intractable pain? Because patient has to live, right? Till they live with a good quality life. So what they require for a particular, their lifestyle activity to do, or how they can have a reduction of pain, and how they can live with very much minimal limitation. So this is what we have to see when we encounter intractable pain. That is what is happening. So you can't say every time that where disease will not be cured, about it, so pain will be there. Never ever do that. They get demotivated, and seldom they'll come to you when you say, because they want to come and open up about this intractable pain, and you shut down with the verdict. So that will not be accepted. So this is what you have to remember. Intractable pain also, we should see that they do. For example, even diabetic foot ulcer and many things are, you must have seen, they give first pain medication, then they start with the cleaning, wound dressing, then they close. So that also can be kind of giving a reduction of pain, if not a relief from pain. Next is a nociceptive pain, which is related to tissue damage, like a surgery. Like in onco, what we do is tumor reduction surgeries, or cyto reduction we call, then surgical oncology. So many surgeries are there, and the patient is going for a chemo port, that surgery. Many things are there. So whenever there's a direct tissue damage, the kind of a pain what you get is nociceptive, and the example for this, damage to the skin. Now I want you to read very carefully these two terms which we are going to discuss. One is pain threshold and another one is pain tolerance. Can you go through this? Read by yourself. I'll give you a minute. What is pain threshold and what is tolerance? Can anyone give me the difference after reading? Because whenever you talk, we use this term in our talk, but Are we really knowing the meaning of this? What is pain threshold? Anyone?
मैम आई थिंक पेन थ्रेशोल्ड का मतलब है कि किस वजह से पेन हो रहा है, कोई कोच।
किस वजह से हो रहा है वो थ्रेशोल्ड है। तो टॉलरेंस का मतलब क्या है?
टॉलरेंस का मतलब ये है कि मैडम पेशेंट ने मतलब अपने आप को कितना पेन के प्रति टॉलरेट किया विदाउट मेडिसिन के अकॉर्डिंग, लेने से पहले।
ओके ओके ओके, आपका ये टॉलरेंस ठीक है, मगर थ्रेशोल्ड आई थिंक it's not that nearing. Anybody else would like to tell your thoughts on pain threshold?
Maybe the patient knows whether the pain is mild or moderate or severe.
Mild, moderate, or severe. Okay. Anybody else? Two, three people have opened your, you have unmuted. Just check because it's breaking. So one was telling about mild, moderate, and severe, right? Okay. Anyone want to share any more things? Okay, I'll come back to threshold. So threshold means when you start identifying it as a pain. Okay, see, recognize, define, and responding to pain. For example, just somebody pinches. Okay, suddenly when you respond to that, okay, you turn and see, okay, I have a pain here. So when you perceive that pain, okay, and respond to that is your threshold, okay, of pain. Pain tolerance means, as I think a person, just now told, that is the pain, how much I will tolerate my back pain, to what extent, and when I will go and seek for a medicine, or when I will go and take an action. Okay. So then what is the meaning of low threshold? And sometimes you say that patient pain threshold is very low. That patient threshold is very high. Can anybody say how it is? Meaning of low and high threshold? Okay. So I think I will only tell you the things. So for same, I'll come to this pinching or something. So just I'm looking somewhere, I'm feeling this pain and I'm turning. Okay. So if I am able to recognize that pain and tell that I'm in pain, okay, with very small kind of things, okay, very small stimuli, then my threshold is very low. Okay, when pain threshold is high means I need a strong stimulation to tell that I am in pain. Okay, low threshold means small stimulus, you will respond to that, say that you have a pain. And high threshold means you need to have a deeper stimulation or a trigger to tell that you are in a pain. Which one is good, low or high? So the person with high threshold can little tolerate. With the low threshold, they will not be able to tolerate the pain. Okay, that is the meaning which I want to give you. And pain tolerance means it is the most pain an individual can tolerate before he could go and seek for a medical help. They tolerate and sit without telling anything. The moment they feel they get no more, they cannot take it anymore, then they'll go for a help. So that is the tolerance we call. Now, due to abnormal nerve functioning, these are the terms which you can see, which happens due to the nerve issues. First one is allodynia. Okay, please remember this term, allodynia. These things in palliative care or pain management you should know. Then dysesthesia and hyperalgesia. Allodynia means sensation of pain from a stimulus which normally does not produce pain. Okay. So for example, I am just tapping, okay, on somebody's hand. Oh, hey, listen, like that. They'll just pull the hand. They say, they scream or they give a kind of a shocking, emotional experience. So that means they're for a very light touch also they are having a pain. Remember, this is a symptom and they are not overacting or hyperactive or they are attention seeking. Please do not interpret like that. This is the mistake we do. What happens if I touch? How can you say that? Coming back to that nature of the pain and principle, anybody who says that I am in pain means, please remember and accept and respect them that yes, they do have a problem with the small touch. They are not able to tolerate this one because they are mediated with the nerve issues. Next is dysesthesia, an unpleasant abnormal sensation that can be either spontaneous or evoked. Okay, which can be very spontaneous or evoked. Okay, spontaneous means they tell like suddenly they say, okay, no, I can't tolerate this pain at all, or you tell them, okay, come to the sitting position from sleeping position. They show the expression of intolerable, that kind of a feeling. So that says dysesthesia, unpleasant abnormal, which sometimes happen spontaneously or evoked when suddenly they'll be sitting or something, suddenly they scream that they have pain. This is dysesthesia. Hyperalgesia. So algesia is pain, hyper is increased. So increased sensation of pain in response to a normally painful stimulus. Increased sensation of pain in response to a normally painful stimulus is known as hyperalgesia. Okay, so that's what I told you. Never say you're overacting or something like that. It can happen to somebody because of lots of experiences. Maybe here I would like to bring to a point that you must have heard about the memory system in the brain. So today I get a vaccine here and I have perceived that pain, or I have got an injection, I have perceived that pain. It is registered. So next I will take one more. This one, what is that? Injection, for example, maybe supplement or something like that. Before even nurse will come and prick, also here that pain is there. Okay, I am feeling the pain. I know the intensity of pain. So like that, you think about the patient who is coming for repeated chemo, repeated invasive technique and many things. The registered pain is there, or a memory pain we call, that will really sometime exaggerate the pain or increase the perception of the pain. Before even the pain, nurse could come near to you, you are totally in pain. Okay, same thing you might have observed with the children also in the ward. The moment they see a white coat, they are in pain. See, there is nothing happening, everything is happening here. So this is what, please understand, telling that no, never ever disagree or give a judgment saying that no, it is not possible that you have pain. No, we have to tell, yes, I understand that this is going to prick, with single prick, it is going to cause a pain, but I can assure you that it will be for a 10 second or 30 second. I am going to finish this procedure. After that, you should be fine. And always when you give a pain management or pain treatment or something, you or any medication per se, you should tell the benefit first and then come to the negative aspect or the barriers or a pain level or something. So this is going to improve your immune system. This is going to increase your what is that, a neuronal ability, okay, or something like that. If you really tell them the reason, then they will adapt here first. Yes, I am going to give this supplement so that my immunity will be good. So when here they are accepting, then this physical thing definitely they will accept. So I think you will have lot of classes with this palliative care and all. One of the important unit will be communication. Please learn there how to communicate to this patient and the family. If you are very good with your words and you are skilled enough, I think that itself will add for their relief of lot of symptoms, or they will be more adaptable than questioning or pushing or withdrawing the treatment. All those things first they will not create. So coming back to next segment, that is factors affecting pain experience. What do you think? What is your thought on that? Is there any factors according to you which can really affect the pain experience? Can you name any if you know, or if you feel that yes, this factor can be one of the thing which can alter the experience of pain? Any input from your side? जो कौन सा फैक्टर है आप सोचते हैं कि इसी की वजह से कुछ पेन का परसेप्शन में चेंजेस आया है, ऐसे कुछ? Climate you're telling, okay, good. If you're experiencing from like experiencing heat outside, here also you're sweating and you're having lot of treatment going on, I think Mr. Shivakumar has told. Yes, environment what you are in can have a change. Anything else? What else can be possible which can really tell you, yes, there are, these factors will definitely affect the pain experience. Any other factor apart from Mr. else want to tell
Ma'am, we
from
can't
your
hear you.
duty group or anything you want to talk about?
Ma'am, the voice is breaking.
You can't hear?
Yeah, now
Is it
it's
so
fine.
for
Yeah.
everybody? I am at a very good place
Now
with
it's
the
fine. Now it's
Wi-Fi.
fine.
Yeah. Geriatric person. Again, Mr. Shivakumar is adding, geriatric children also may experience something different. Good. Anything else? Okay, we will go there. So one is ethnic and cultural background. Okay. And when you see the ethnic and cultural background, okay, you will think about a particular culture or a community. We belong to this Hispanic, and there is some American, those people, Europe people, all are there. So cultural background also will have a kind of a thing. Ethnic also will have. There are many ethnic population who are exposed to a lot of traditional pain medication as well as advanced pain medication. See, this is the thing sometimes. Sometimes if you think something is accessible, you will go and take it. Isn't it? So that changes you see according to ethnic. Cultural background also. Have you observed anything, different among men and women coming from different cultural background and their pain perception? Any difference you observed between the gender? So if yes, what is it you have observed? Women cry more and men don't. The surgery may be similar or the pain stimuli may be similar, but the experience or an expression is different. Do you agree? So this is one of the cultural, factor which is, changing that notion of, things like, though women are tend to, okay, they can cry and they can vent out, but men are not supposed to cry, like that. So these things also will add up. Though they are in pain, sometimes they may not express, or on another way around, you may not be a acceptable person to them. You may be very rude, very be strict or something, so they cannot open up and tell. Some people in cultural, community, they are restricting themselves to particular, group communication only. They will never open up. So that could be the reason. The second one is developmental stage. Okay, from infancy, child preschool, toddler, preschooler, school, and all other age group, when you go through, the pain perception varies. The infant, toddler, school, and all, sometimes they cry like anything. The moment they go to the university, college, and they become adolescent, they try to maintain that particular image, that role identity they will have. So they try to control. So these are the changes you will see. Then about the adult, elderly, and all, where they are more adaptable most of the time for the pain, okay, or invasive treatment. Environment and support people. Who are those environment and support people? So that's what you have told now. Environmental changes also can have some effect, like climatic changes and all other thing will have a different impact on the pain and its perception, and support people involved also. If your spouse, if you're staying in a house, is not supportive, then again your pain perception will vary. If you have a supportive spouse or supportive family, then your pain perception is totally different. I can approach, you'll be relaxed. Okay, something happens, somebody is there. So that also will change the way you look into the things. Past experiences of pain. That's what I said, memory pain. Okay. The earlier, okay, I had a chemo. So today also I'm going to have the similar experience. I have taken vaccine, the first dose. Okay, second dose, I'll have the experiences. Okay, something like that. So that also will change your perception. Sometime if you get lot of pain with the injections, the next time seldom you think of going. So that also can be there. Either way, it can be adaptive or maladaptive. Okay. So next is meaning of pain. So this is something very tricky, but at the same time, I think you can know this. Okay. I said pain is not only physical, though we talk mostly of physical, pain is having emotional, social, spiritual component also alongside the physical. So meaning of pain, you should know what it is. I am having pain, I am having intractable pain, or my pain is not at all relieved. Explore, find out, see that proper treatment they receive, then you will understand. So meaning of pain, you should ask, what do you mean you are in discomfort? Can you please tell why it is not coming down? Or is something else is happening with you? Are you, able to have your bowel and bladder motion, or, something like that? Every aspect you detailedly see, then you will know what is this meaning. And this is very important. Okay. Never ever ignore patient who says that they are in pain or something, without exploring it. If you explore, identify the issue which is really bothering them, then it is your half work is done. Really, they are going to have some kind of reduction of pain if you really identify the underlying problem. So these are the things which you have to know. Next is, I think theoretically lot of information you will get, but I'll just tell you some of the rules which we follow, especially in palliative care, for your knowledge. Okay, because all other thing theoretically you will get everywhere. There is something known as a ground rule for a pain management. Okay, there is something very basic, or it is supposed to be there. Okay, so let us see, there are 10. The first one, which is I have told you all, but I'm emphasizing now also again. First one is, pain is present when the patient say she or he has pain. Okay, what do you really see in this particular patient with related to the posture and the equipment, what he is attached to? What do you see here? He is not telling you anything, right? If you get a patient like this, what will you do? What will you do with this kind of patient with the posture which he is setting? Do you think this patient is in pain? No. I feel he is at least discomfort, then I can go and ask him. Okay. So am I audible? I'm not getting a response. Okay, somebody's telling yes. Okay. So please see that this patient expression, posture, their a way of interaction, the withdrawal behavior, whatever is there, you should observe properly because they will be at a discomfort. So which has to be tested. So first rule is when he or she says that they have pain, accept it. Okay, I understand. Okay, let me see how I can help you. When is your next analgesic dose? So how many doses you have taken? Now it is an additional one. I'll call the doctor and I'll do the needful. Don't worry. Okay, this is what a patient wants. Not your judgment saying that you are the one always complaining of pain. Okay, or you are the one where whatever we do, you will not be satisfied. So what is the meaning of getting this much? This will hurt your this lung, this that. So many things we speak. Patient don't want to hear that. They are in pain. So please understand this. This is the first ground rule that he or she has pain means they have it. That's all. Next is right drug for a right kind of pain. Okay. So whenever as a nurse we need to report it, right? This is a pain scale we are having. So we should know to report to the doctor saying that 4th hourly morphine or codeine, whatever treatment you are doing, despite you do it, there is a pain which they are telling. And you should know it by drug, by route or by the clock. When it is happening, how you have to, which route you have to give a drug, all those things you should know based on the prescription. So always you should report properly the patient pain so that they can get a right drug for a right kind of pain. When you are telling them also, you should tell whether it's a radiating, referred pain, when did you give the last dose, and how many doses are left for today, what is the total dose he received today. See, all this background information if you have, you can report it rightly and get a very proper treatment. So next is ground rules. Okay, that is rule 3. This is the famous one. This is just like your one chart you should hang in your chamber also, because this is the basic for a management of pain. This is known as a WHO ladder of pain or a pain ladder in short they call. Okay, you can see a ladder here, isn't it? So what is the first ladder is about here? What is this first ladder? This is the one, first ladder. What is it? What is the first ladder? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, audible.
Yeah, mild pain. Pinky has told it is mild pain in the first ladder. So what do you expect, Pinky, from mild to moderate and severe when you go? What do you expect here? Pain is severe, isn't it? So you are starting for a mild pain, acetaminophen, simple paracetamol or an aspirin or an NSAID, correct? I don't know how many of you observed. I did observe there are some patients, for them only paracetamol will give pain relief. Whereas some patient only aspirin will give pain relief. You can't say that, why are you asking for that patient paracetamol is taken? Why do you are asking for a different drug? No. What the prescription they have got from the doctor and what SOS order is there, you can give. So remember that. And what is this adjuvant means? What are the adjuvant? This is only pain drug. What you see in the ladder 1, 2 and 3. Adjuvant drug means something which can be added to this. It can be an anticonvulsant, okay, which can be added. Antidepressant medication can be added. Anxiolytics can be added. Apart from the pain relief medicine, based on their condition, you can add. So whatever they are having, the pain, you give them a pain relief technique or a drug, and you will add a particular drug which will really help them to reduce the pain. The next one is mild to moderate pain. So what is this mild to moderate pain? That is codeine, tramadol, all those things. Okay, you give, that's a mild opioid we call. Plus or minus a non-opioid you can give, which is a non-opioid. acetaminophen, paracetamol and everything, and then adjuvant you have, it can be any of the drug which you use for a comorbid illness. The final one here is opioid drug, that is more strong opioid, morphine, fentanyl. Along with that, you have a non-opioid and a adjuvant drug. Okay. Please remember this and put it in your mind now only. You have a 3 ladder in the WHO. So first one is mild for mild pain, then is for mild to moderate pain and moderate to severe pain. How do you say mild and moderate and severe pain in a pain scale? All of you are aware, which I'll show you further also. What will you use for mild pain? Non-opioids and adjuvant. Which are the non-opioids? Paracetamol, aspirin or any of the NSAIDs. Okay. Second ladder is opioid, that is a weak opioid we call codeine or tramadol. And then you will have a non-opioid, which can be paracetamol, aspirin or NSAID. Then you have a adjuvant drug for your other comorbid illness. You give the second ladder also. Pain is not getting relief. They are reporting severe kind of pain. You go to the ladder 3, where you give a strong opioid. You combine it with a non-opioid plus and minus. You need not combine, or the patient need not have combination. But you have to remember, combination of a painkiller is okay. It is a combination of drug is okay to be given, and you have to give it as per the schedule or the prescription. Okay. Yeah, I will be sending this presentation after removing some of the, things. I mean, I felt the design I'll exclude and I'll send. Okay. At the end, I'll share it with the organizer. I just saw a comment about the presentation, so I'm just sharing that. So remember, mild pain, you start treatment with the basic things and adjuvant. Moderate pain, you start with this weak opioid, then non-opioid, then adjuvant. Severe pain, you go for strong opioid, and then you will go to non-opioid and adjuvant. So always don't think why my patient is having 2-3 drugs. No. Combination of drug is allowed as far as they achieve the desired goal, that is a reduction or a relief of pain. Okay. And then what you have to do is you have to remember that every patient, they can have a combination of these drugs as well as some other drugs also can be added. So this is WHO ladder of pain. Okay. This is the ground rule 4. Do you understand the pain, or have you heard of total pain? If I take this one itself is a big, half an hour we require to discuss, but very shortly I'll tell you. Physical, the red one is always highlighted, observed and treated. That is constituting of only 25% of pain. So what are the remaining percentages? Social, spiritual and emotional. So you need to look into all these things. Okay. A person, even you may not think that seriously, but it is true. If failure to go to a particular spiritual place, which they were going earlier also, can cause pain. Forget about all other things. How many painkiller if you give also, it will not work until they reach to a particular spiritual base or a person who is a spiritual leader or something. Only then you can have this kind of a thing. So okay, that's what we have. Palliative care, when we say the team is like multi-team. You will have multidisciplinary team, plus you will have clergymen, spiritual leaders, volunteers, and everybody you have, because everybody play a small and little higher role in mediating the problem of the patient so that they can get a particular reduction of the problem. So these things are a total pain. So that's what when one person asked me a doubt, I told, explore what is happening to them and find out what they want. Okay, what do you want to achieve? So then you will know what is the mismatch in their expectation and the reality. The 5th rule is patient receiving round-the-clock medication also will experience pain. Patient is coming and telling you, madam, I have pain, or nursing officer, I have a pain. So then you don't brush it off saying that you are already on pain medication and next this one you are going to get in 2 hours. So now you try to tolerate. it is not good to take so many pain medication. Never ever tell that it comes so naturally sometime for us. Even I have done it. I'm telling it's a mistake. So never ever do that. So whenever they say the pain, or we call it as a breakthrough pain, means which comes in between a severe episode of a pain, you have to report to the doctor or find out any SOS is there and give it. Okay, so that is one of the way you do it. So never judge that patient is on round the clock morphine, round the clock combination of analgesics, and they cannot get pain. No, it is they experience the pain. You have to admit it. That's all. So next ground rule is pseudo addiction is more common than the true addiction. So what is pseudo addiction? Have you ever heard this term? A patient is in the ward, he's on a morphine around the clock, and he's coming and telling that I want a drug. So evening also he tells, tomorrow also he tells. That need not be addiction to morphine. Okay. So it is known as pseudo addiction because they come and seek for the pain relief because they are not at all getting a pain relief. Either the pain severity is going high and high, the desired dose is not met. So they are trying to come and seek more kind of relief. When you come to true addiction, individual is pathologically pursuing a reward or a relief by substance use and other behavior. So you should differentiate between pseudo addiction and true addiction. Pseudo addiction is really they're in pain. It looks like why they are seeking more and more, but you will see in a pseudo addiction they are not following a particular format. Every time afternoon, night, or something like that, format and all will not be there. But in true addiction, it will be a kind of a format, a particular, this one they'll go. As an experienced nurse in the ward, you will understand who is addicted and who is not. So never use the term you will get addicted to the drug, this, that. No. Just do the needful and accept and respect their views. The next one is oral morphine and other transdermal patch or a drug or anything can cause respiratory depression when optimal doses are used and titrated effectively. Okay. So that's what we say. No, more drug is harmful for the kidney. You will end up with a constipation if you take this drug more, or you will have a breathing difficulty if you do this. And also all those things you should keep aside because we have management for all other symptom related things. But ideal dose or how much he want, you have to think and you should give it. But have a record of that how many rescue dose you have given or how many double dose. Next is pharmacoeconomics. It depends on your institution. Every drug, sometimes patient pays. So you should know how much they are paying for a drug. You can't simply give some kind of a drug, okay, to them. For example, if you compare with the morphine and fentanyl, it's a huge difference. Though fentanyl will have a lot of, benefits in terms of reduced side effects and all, but the cost and all you have to see. So always be aware when you don't tell them to buy something higher or something. Discuss with the healthcare team and see for patient with that kind of issues, okay, what can be the best possible. Because you have seen in total pain, financial burden also is a pain. So you cannot give them additional pain, okay. So for that sake, you will have to think over the pharmacoeconomics before you could tell them to buy, which has to be done in consultation with the physician or a healthcare team. Next is pain impacts life and life impacts pain. You are in pain, you are able to do your tasks or anything like that, and existing one will pain. If you're not doing it properly, if you're not thinking the things, taking the pain perception and the medication and the treatment in a right way, then again it will have a problem. So you have to see that the pain and the life are balanced. If you cannot achieve the relief of pain, then at least have a reduction of the pain. Okay, all those things, please think. This is what I have written. Pain aspect which lower the pain tolerance aspect, they raise the tolerance of the pain. So these are the modes which I will not go in detail. So last rule is pain management is always multimodal. Okay, that's what I told. Somebody, if you give paracetamol, will work, but somebody it will not. Somebody paracetamol and massage can work. Okay, so like that. So pain management is multimodal. Whatever the way they seek for a relief or a reduction, you should respect. I don't believe in that kind of massage technique and yoga. You cannot tell that. It is a individual perception. Allow them, unless it doesn't harm their routine or something, please allow them to practice whatever they want. Ultimately want the patient to be having a reduction of pain. So when anti-neoplastic therapy, palliative radiation, adjuvant, physical, and so many things are happening for the patient, so you should always see that combination of drug, combination of pharmacological, non-pharmacological, everything you should be able to implement without any bias. Okay. So this is the pain management. I think I've shown a revised ladder. They have come apart from the WHO ladder, where here they are talking more of non-pharmacological technique. Okay, the acupuncture, massage, tents and exercises and all. So these things also can be there. They can even go alongside your pain medication. Okay, with all those things you can have this. And coming to the drugs, again, I don't know. I don't think we need to see it in that detail. So first one is non-opioid analgesics. You have seen the WHO ladder. So acetaminophen, NSAIDs. So you should know when you can give this, administer. If you find a patient with some of the issues, go back to the doctor and ask them whether I can give this NSAID. Respiratory issue patient has, gastric issue they have, and if they are on this medication, please go back to the doctor and ask if any alternative can be given to them. So that is the reason we should know the drug. Unless you know the drug and you administer it righteously and collect the information from patient, you cannot report to the doctor. The next is opioid analgesics. You have weak and strong. Okay, used for mild, moderate pain and all. Codeine, tramadol they use. I think codeine and all now you can see in the cough medication and all other things. Tramadol is the commonest one used, and it can be combined with a non-opioid. One tramadol with another NSAID also can be given. Strong opioid, it's for severe pain. Morphine, fentanyl, oxycodone are given. And opioids will have lots of side effects. That's what sometimes we terrorize the patient saying so many things about side effects, but we forget to tell them how it really brings down the pain. So whenever morphine is prescribed, you know that Dulcolax and other thing, antiemetic, if required, it will be prescribed. It will go hand in hand with one prescription. So see that you don't highlight much and scare the patient with the side effect. Rather, you say them, this is really going to help you out. If you experience any kind of thing also, there are some management we have. We can avoid all these complications, but take it aptly on time with what and all things they have to take. So that will really help you out to have to achieve a good or desirable result. Roots and all, you know, I think most of the setting nowadays we have this transdermal patches and all, fentanyl patch we have, and subcutaneous intramuscular injections you give, and even subcutaneous IV fluid also they give in the home care. IV administration of the drug also we give for relief of pain or a this one breakthrough pain. And opioids also can be given, which is short acting or long acting. We have a morphine trial and we have a protocol also for that, which can really help you to administer these drugs. The third category, which we have told, adjuvant medication. So patient is very anxious, pain relief is there, but if they are not getting a relief or kind of a reduction of anxiety and related problem, I think then it will not serve. So you have to see in palliative care total pain relief. So anything is adding to the patient current treatment and reducing their discomfort will be a part of total pain management. Okay, remember that. So adjuvant medication, that's antidepressant and anticonvulsant. Antidepressant medications are, many things. Amitriptyline and all other things can really help sometime for neuropathic pain. Even sometimes you see very different drugs used The drug which was used for hiccups, they used in the palliative also. So I've seen those kind of things. So it's very interesting to know all these drugs which are given. Anticonvulsants are there, gabapentin and gabalin, and which can be effective even for the neuropathic pain. Corticosteroid you can use because immediate relief of inflammation and hyperimmune reactions and all. Corticosteroids are the must, and there is no alternative for that. So that can be given. In palliation, again, the dose, everything varies till they get a desired this one. Bisphosphonate are used for a bone pain and prevent the fractures in the patient with a skeletal metastasis or any other old age related thing. So these are the management of opioid drug and WHO ladder. Coming to nurse's role, or as a nurse, I think in between I have tried to tell you what and all we have to do. Right identification, right documentation, right reporting, and all that can really help the patient. We are a mediator between the doctor and this one, right? In palliative care, what you have to do is you have to assume the role of an advocate. So you should be patient advocate. Okay, when you talk about palliative, you have to represent him and talk because you are the one who will be there throughout with the patient. So first is history of pain. It's very important. And I'll tell you, when you really understand total pain and you collect the appropriate history, then that would again take you to a very good result of a pain reduction or a relief. Location you should see whether it's a radiating or referred pain, and you can use that body chart also. Intensity, this is the famous scale, and I'll tell you, please ask a question in the local language, and sometimes they may not even know how to know the number. Okay, so if they are not literate to say the number, then you should ask them from yesterday to today, what was the pain? How do you say that you have a pain? One of the my mentor discussed with me that when they went for a collection of information in a slum area, they used a bangle which which was worn by the patient, and they told, if this ring will tell you the pain, in this particular ring, how much is you denotes the pain. Okay, whether half of the ring or 3/4 or something like that. So you should know the language what patient speaks or the language which he understand, and you have to ask. There is no meaning of showing the scale where you cannot relate. Okay. And next is pain measurement scale. This is a PACES scale which is developed by a nurse, again pediatric nurse, Bailey and Wong Baker faces rating scale. How you see the pain in the child. Mostly you can use for a child. Adult usually will go for a visual analog scale or something. Another one is a Lego pain scale assessment tool. This is another one. I have used only the visual analog scale and the Wong Baker faces scale, not the Lego this one. But there is no much difference. The words or the way they have quoted is different. Okay, no pain is same, no pain only. Whereas where you go higher in this, so can be ignored, interferes with the task, like that. It is based on the task. So as per your hospital or the policy, you have to use the scale, which one they say. Pain quality is another interesting thing to collect. You should know the language. Okay, that's what we say. No, neuropathic pain. We ask, do you feel that ant is walking or irritate? That entire superficial area irritates. Do you feel you are pierced with a needle? Or how do you feel? You feel somebody's compressing your chest or something like that. So those kind of terms you have to use, because each one will tell you the different type of pain. Okay, so piercing, unbearable, shooting, burning. Okay, all these things are the common terms. You have to talk and find out. Pattern can be any time onset. Precipitating factor can be when they walk, it can reduce or something. Elevating factor, which relieves pain, can be taking rest or assuming a sitting position. So coping resources can be, they will have different resources. Some will have try to use so many oils or herbs or something. No, anything you allow. Don't tell no, this oil will not work or something like that. Whatever they want, they use. Unless it is going to harm the patient, you should not deny anything. Okay. And coming back to nurse's role, so this is the thing I'll highlight again and again. Accept them, respect them, don't judge them. When they say I have pain, when they say I'm having discomfort, acknowledge that. Okay, you said now discomfort. I understand that. Let me see your chart and what best I can do, I will explore. Or don't worry, I'll call your patient, doctor and I'll tell. Or just see that your rounds are due. So you can see a doctor and you can get this one. I'll help you out. Okay, if you tell that, no, that itself will bring down their anxiety. So assisting support person is another thing. It's very, very important to know. Many times we think about patient, and we forget the patient relative who is standing, who is spending all his or her time and seeing everything, crying patient, tolerating their tantrums, or all caregiver burden, we quote the term. So whenever you address the patient, it's very important that you acknowledge the relative also. You are doing a wonderful job, you have done everything possible, you turn the patient, this one, you are giving a very nice care to the patient, something you acknowledge, so that they also feel involved and valued. Okay, reduce the fear and anxiety. That's what, never, it always human mentality, like we always tend to go with the negative things. Something is happening in a right things, we will not acknowledge. So then focusing on the side effect, focus on what is the benefit they are getting. When you say very nicely the benefit, they'll definitely accept that. If you tell everything about the negative thing, they'll also will think twice before opting out. And pharmacological management also, you have to think, as a nurses, we should know when we can give NSAID, when we cannot give, what is breakthrough, what is a rescue dose, the additional dose which to be given, what is the meaning of SOS, okay, and when to give the Dulcolax and all other things. Okay, so all these things you have to see. Okay, and I'll just briefly tell you about non-pharmacological intervention. So importance of non-pharmacological, because there are people who never believe in this kind of complementary or alternative system. They believe drugs, allopathy and also. Though we work in that kind of setting, please be mindful for a palliative care when you're caring the patient. One is important one for using non-pharmacological. This one is, it can sometime, if it is found effective, you don't have to rely on more of drugs. Okay, so that is the way you have to look into, not thinking that, oh, something else is coming which is not having a science, this one, no. Improve overall well-being. Somebody is doing this, taking all the medicine, and they are simultaneously doing the yoga or a breathing technique or a Reiki or anything. Then if it is helping, it's very good for patient, right? Ultimately, we all want our patient to improve. Empower patient. Some technique, if they have learned through practicing of mindfulness or something like that, that gives some confidence to the patient that, no, I am not sick, I am able to manage. When I practice this breathing technique, I am able to overcome the problem of breathing. So these are the importance you have to put it in your mind when you talk about the non-pharmacological technique. Never ever avoid it because your hospital is not willing. Discuss with the doctor and healthcare team. If they want to opt something, it is for them to do it. So first one is cutaneous stimulation, which you do, massaging. I think we don't need a explanation here. We all must have experience from our childhood, even for small illness or sickness. Nice massage from mother or something would give us some comfort. Though there is no medication involved in that, that is a cutaneous stimulation we call. Application of heat and cold, that is the one thing. So you should know principle of heat application and principle of cold application. Next is acupressure. That technique, there are so many people certified. So never say them no, unless they create some wound or something, no. So it should be okay if they want to go. And contralateral stimulation is the another one they do, the acupressure type only. If it required, they can go. Immobilization or bracing, they use its shoulder or this one and all, like splint or anything which they are finding it as a good support, they can use. TENS is the important one, which you see, transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation, low voltage electrical stimulation you can give. I have seen, I have administered also some people, it is giving a good result, okay? Especially if it's neuropathic. Relaxation technique, guided imagery. We don't have it much now, but I know the relaxation technique of yoga. When they finish the yogasana, all basic thing, and they go into shavasana, this is nothing but a relaxation technique. Guided imagery also will be involved in a yoga, but pure guided imagery is there. Please learn, read on that. This is a good thing. Music therapy is so much into it now. There is a institution also for music therapy. I have seen there are PhD students doing music therapy in many of the setting, and they are earning their degrees because this has become like a component for a happiness. And cognitive behavioral therapy is another one which you see in the psychology department, just to try to strengthen them cognitive. And exercise is the one which also can give a particular relief. And restorative and continuing care also you can think. Okay, pain clinic, you are going to administer drug as IP and OP. Palliative care hospitals, mainly they manage the chronic pain, and hospices for supporting them to live comfortably with the good quality of life till their end of life. So this is all the non-pharmacological technique, and alongside that pharmacology also we have seen. And what I want to show you, I hope, let me know if it is audible to you. This is one I just want to show. This is using morphine to stay alive. Just you see this. This is only for 2 minutes. Is it audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So moist.
Ma'am,
You can't hear anything?
nothing, ma'am.
Yeah, just to see this. This man was suffering from a giant cell tumor, underwent operation, and he was not having a good pain relief. And he was referred to one of the palliative center, and where he consulted and he started taking the medicine. Okay, he was not at all aware of that. So because of that, he lost his job and many things happened. Then finally, when he got this pain clinic, access, he could go and take the pain medicine. And the thing is, it was double dose of that what they were giving to any other patient. So he survived on morphine for so many years. Plus, he survived with minimal or a less discomfort, and he was working also. So what I'm trying to tell you is, if you see that your patient is getting a good pain relief, and if they can go, there is nothing like higher dose or lesser dose. He was taking 200 mg per day, which nobody is going to believe. Okay, but still he was not addicted. He did his work as far as he lived. I think after that, for 5 years he lived after his initial diagnosis, and he was running a tea shop. He was trying to, meet his family's needs, and everything he was doing without having any other problem or to be bed bounded. So this is how you have to seek for a help and see that they all get a very good pain relief or a reduction, at least with the living with a good quality of life. Finally, I would like to conclude by this one of the note. I think it is very apt for our nursing fraternity. That is, we cannot change the outcome. Okay, we know it's a disease, the stage, what they're in, everything, but we can definitely affect the journey. That means journey till they live or anybody lives, we can really make a positive change. So for that, we need to identify the pain, respect the patient and the family members concerned, report it accordingly, bring a right treatment on the plate of the patient, and see that the total pain is addressed, not only the physical pain. And I take this opportunity to thank Sparsh Foundation, which is aligned with the Trivandrum Institute of Palliative Services, and again in collaboration with the Extension for Community Healthcare Outcome, for this wonderful opportunity. I hope I was able to share some of the experiences, and I was able to reach your expectation. And again, thank you one and all for your patient hearing in the lunch time. I could see your responses coming. I was very happy that you are in tune with the thing. So any other question is there, I am very happy to address. Thank you one and all.
Dear participants, if you have any queries,
Thank you,
please
ma'am.
ask.
हेलो मैम,
One
मैसेज
message, मैम, हमारे तो मैम ऐसे पेशेंट्स आते जो कहते हैं कि जो मेरे साथ वाले को दिया वही मेडिसिन डू.
Yeah. No, that's what जब ना वो कहते हैं कि उसका कुछ अच्छा था, उसका मतलब वो मेडिसिन अच्छा था, उसके लिए अच्छा हुआ, तो मेरे लिए भी वही दो, ऐसे कुछ वो बोलेंगे, तो आपको बताना है कि उसका प्रॉब्लम और आपका प्रॉब्लम कंपेयर नहीं कर सकते. उसका बॉडी का फिजियोलॉजी और पेन परसेप्शन और आपका तो अलग है, ठीक है. तो आपको आपके डॉक्टर से आपका कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो वो बता दीजिए, उसके हिसाब से देंगे. वैसे सबको एक ही मेडिसिन से हम ट्रीट नहीं कर सकते, ऐसे कुछ बोल सकते हैं, मगर वो जो भी आप बोल रहे हैं उसे एक बार बता दीजिए कि डॉक्टर से कि ऐसा कुछ रिक्वेस्ट है पेशेंट से, एंड मैंने ऐसे बता दिया, शायद आप भी बता देंगे तो ठीक है. क्योंकि अल्टीमेटली जो भी फिजिशियन कहता है ना, उसका वेटेज ज्यादा होता है, तो आपको राइट पर्सन को आगे रख के आपको जो सपोर्ट करना है. ओके
मैम, वन क्वेश्चन है.
हाँ,
जैसे हमने मैम पेन लेटर पर अभी पढ़ा है, उसमें जो सीवियर पेन है मैम, उसमें हम जो है मॉर्फिन दे रहे थे पेशेंट को टैबलेट.
ठीक है.
तो मैम हम उसको जैसे मॉर्फिन देते हैं मैम, ओपियोइड ग्रुप की है, साइड इफेक्ट्स तो हैं उसके. तो
साइड इफेक्ट्स है. हाँ,
मैम कितने टाइम तक हम उसको बोल सकते हैं पेशेंट को, या फिर डॉक्टर की कंसल्ट की भैया इतने टाइम तक ले लो, या फिर आपको लोअर पे मतलब उसको ला सकते हैं.
एक आपका फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन, सो साइड इफेक्ट्स के बारे में मैंने आपको बोला कि जो भी मॉर्फिन का प्रिस्क्रिप्शन आपके हाथ में आएगा ना, तो आप देख सकते हैं कि उसके साथ ही वो एंड कॉन्स्टिपेशन का या वोमिटिंग का दवाई तो वो प्रिस्क्रिप्शन में होगा, ठीक है. सो इट इज
ठीक
एन
है मैम.
एक्सपेक्टेड कॉम्प्लिकेशन. सो अगर आपका हाथ में एक प्रिस्क्रिप्शन है जो आपको एडमिनिस्टर करना है, उसमें जो भी ये ड्रग मिसिंग है, तो आपको बोलना है कि डॉक्टर्स को मैंने ये नहीं देखा, वो मॉर्फिन के साथ आता है ना वो ड्रग्स, आपको डालना है, ऐसे कुछ बोलेंगे तो वो अंडरस्टैंड करेंगे, ठीक है. और कुछ आपका दूसरा सवाल क्या था? सागर आपने कुछ दूसरा सवाल पूछा, मैं शायद भूल गई, वो क्या था?
मेरा दूसरा क्वेश्चन ये था कि जैसे कई पेशेंट्स हैं जिनको हम मतलब जो हायर डोज से लोअर पे भी शिफ्ट कर सकते हैं, जैसे मॉर्फिन से मैम
हाँ हाँ,
जैसे।
वो मॉर्फिन ट्रायल बोलते हैं, ठीक है। सो हायर और लोअर डोज जो भी है वो फिजिशियन लिख के देंगे, कंसल्टेंट ना, पेन एंड पैलिएटिव नहीं तो कोई भी एक फिजिशियन वो लेके देंगे आपको। उसके बाद जो आपको करना है कि आपको एडमिनिस्टर करके मॉनिटर करना है, ठीक है।
मैम।
ऐसा increasing the dose and decreasing the dose has to be in consultation with the physician। वो physician को ही करना है, हमें जस्ट उसे एडमिनिस्टर करके मॉनिटर करके अगर पेन में कुछ बदलाव नहीं आया तो हमें डॉक्टर को रिपोर्ट करना है, तो वो शायद कुछ अच्छा मतलब सोच के वो इधर इंक्रीज और डिक्रीज करेंगे। सो वी आर एडमिनिस्टरिंग, मॉनिटरिंग एंड रिपोर्टिंग। ओके, सो रिपोर्ट करके
मैम।
हम कुछ कॉम्बिनेशन का ड्रग चाहिए तो वो भी डॉक्टर बता सकते हैं। सो सब कुछ वो डॉक्टर के हिसाब से होगा, हमें तो मॉनिटर करना है और असेस करना है कि कल से आज का पेन लेवल क्या था और कुछ बदलाव है या नहीं, ऐसा कुछ हमें देख के वो हमें मतलब वी नीड टू मॉनिटर देम, दैट्स ऑल।
थैंक यू मैम।
या
Thank you so much, ma'am, for a wonderful session. It's very
Yes.
interactive session. Thank you so much.
yeah, thank you ma'am, thank you again for the opportunity. I can leave, no ma'am, session? Can I leave?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Hannah, please share the feedback link in the group and you can end the session now.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Please, everyone should share your feedbacks.